In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my responses to the Witchy tag by Ravenflower, and the tag is RF 2022. So this is a fantastic witchy tag that's been going around the community that I have so enjoyed watching. I think I've seen quite a lot of these. I may not have seen everyone's, but everyone I'm subscribed to, which is a lot of people. Pretty sure I've seen yours if you have done one. I haven't been tagged in this, so I'm just tagging myself because I wanted to do a VR because I love this topic. I love talking about witchy topics, and I thought I would share my responses. So if you've already done a video, then let me know below in case I haven't seen it. I probably have. But do let me know anyway, because I would love to see more of these. I love them. So the tag is started by Ravenflower, as I said, and this was in January now, so a couple of months late to the party, but that's how we roll. So I'm just gonna get right on into it so I don't delay. New Year's resolutions, do you believe in them? No, not in like the typical kind of secular New Year's thing. I don't particularly like New Year's either. From a spiritual, magical perspective, I quite like the clean slate and the refreshing your practice and yourself aspect of New Year's. But yeah, I think New Year's is always a bit of a letdown in terms of a time and a day, a celebration, just because of experiences I've had. In terms of resolutions, no. I have always used it though in a way to sort of set goals and manifest, and as like a point to kind of check in with where I'm at with my manifestations, and to look at how I can sort of restructure some of those ideas, or do I really want that some of those things that, you know, maybe haven't come to fruition yet, do I still want them in the same way, and sort of reassessing my goals and like finding new pathways through. But I try to break things down quite a lot so that I have manageable, measurable goals that I can achieve, and then I can see my progress and where I'm going. I wouldn't say New Year's resolutions, no, but I definitely feel that sort of collective impetus and that collective energy around that newness, and I ride that wave, you know, I like that. So there are elements that I enjoy, but no, I don't believe in New Year's resolutions exactly. So what's your favourite colour? Oh my gosh, this is so hard because I love every colour. The first colour that always comes to mind is pink, because it always was when I was little. But then, yeah, purple, blue, a royal blue. In terms of clothes, black, grey, white. I love wearing like maroony colours, rich burgundy colours. In terms of decor, it's like white and grey and like dark woods, mahoganies, earthy tones. Yeah, I have a lot of favourite colours. It really depends on my mood and my season, and in terms of like tones, I'm neutral, so I can wear gold and silver, I can wear warm tones and cool tones. I tend to look better in tones like red rather than say like a pale green or like a mauve, you know, so bolder, brighter colours tend to look better on me than pale yellows or pastels. They tend to kind of wash me out a bit. But in terms of spell work, I do use colour in terms of like glamour magic, makeup and clothing, and that plays quite a big part in sort of like setting my mood for the day and for an event, or you know, how I want to feel in the moment, and picking out jewellery, etc. So this is my amber piece. I do think colour has a big importance in my life. Yeah, I think my favourite colours change. I love gold as well. Gold, yeah, a lot. Does your favourite colour hold magical or emotional meaning for you? I would definitely say that yes, pink does, because I think of it as like self-love all the time, but also like friendship, passion, heart-centeredness. And I think of also green in a heart-centered way as well. Jade colours as well as like pastel pinks. And yeah, definitely self-love and romance as well. Then gold as well, definitely, because it makes me feel abundant and it aligns me with my Leo nature, that sort of fierce, like royal kind of embodiment that I want to feel like. So that's another reason why I love like gold jewelry, definitely. Do you use substances for divination or meditation, flying oils, herbs or alcohol? So yes, but I don't need those things to do divination or meditation. In the daytime, I will not have any substances really other than coffee, tea. I do drink some herbal teas, which I really enjoy, and I like making hot chocolate with pure cacao and with oat milk and reishi powder, sometimes ashwagandha. I like to use CBD oil as well sometimes, like if I'm feeling stressed, I will take some CBD oil, oral droplets, then you put them under your tongue and they taste like peppermint. They're really nice. They're just very soothing, very calming. The psychoactive properties are removed though, so you just get a very like which is really nice because I am someone who has suffered a lot in my past with anxiety and depression, postnatal depression, post-traumatic stress, OCD. So yeah, I think it's really, really important for me to have those tools. And then in terms of like later, I do drink alcohol, but not to excess, not every day, at the weekends usually, and usually it's with a meal. Occasionally I will smoke some marijuana or mugwort. I drink mugwort in teas as well. I don't do it that often, maybe once or twice a month, if that. I use flying oils and astral oils, some that I prepare myself and some that I purchase, and I use them on pulse points. I use essential oils as well. I would say I do put incense on in the day and essential oils in a burner in the day, so you could say those are substances. But again, like I don't need any of these things to meditate, to do reiki, to use tarot cards, to use a pendulum, to use a scrying medium, to scry with, to a crystal ball. I don't need any of those things to do them, and to astral travel or to lucid dream, I can do that without, and it is something that I like to do in my practice, that I'm building on, that I'm practicing in my practice. But sometimes I do like to use them, and I think it sometimes helps to calm the body and to help you slip into certain modes of travel, but I don't think it's necessary. And sometimes I think it can not be helpful. So I wouldn't necessarily say that marijuana is very helpful for that. That's more recreational. Sometimes as well, I think mugwort can be too stimulating. So I've had some very, very vivid dreams after smoking mugwort, and I've also had some very intense dreams that were quite hard to process, but then also I've had like nothing. So I think you reach a point where it's too much and I think you pull back. So yeah, I think actually it's best to proceed with caution with some of those tools, and I love them, especially the scent of astral oils and such because of the herbs, mugwort and cinnamon and sage and vervain and all of these beautiful herbs that sort of are evocative and smell beautiful. And yeah, so I do like them, but I think that there's a time and a place, and I think it can easily become something that you rely on, and I'm not keen on that happening. So I like to practice without those things quite a lot, but I do tend to light candles and light incense every day. So that's probably the thing I do the most, incense, I would imagine. But I do it with a window open all the time, not getting high off the fumes. What's your favorite part of your practice? My favorite part of my practice is, I think, the creation and the being in the moment, when you feel the magic, when you feel that connection, and when you feel the fizz and the magic start to happen. And I definitely would agree with people when they say that they make magic in the mundane. Like every single part of my life is magical because I make it so, and I don't need those other tools because I use my mind and my hands and my breath and my body, and I make magic with my body, and I am living magic. I'm walking, breathing magic, and I love that. But like when you center yourself and ground, and then you are in a practice, whether, you know, it's, for me, meditation or reiki or candle gazing or breath work, like sensual breath work, or yoga or ritual work, candle spells, making, you know, a herbal tea, or making an oil, infusing an oil, making a balm is something I did recently, you know, feeling that connection, you know, burning bay leaves, burning petitions, like watching the flames engulf whatever it is, you know, being outside, standing in a field with the wind just like taking your hair, like being in a woodland and like feeling your feet, like your bare feet on the grass or on the earth, and getting muddy. Oh my gosh, like this adorable Pouchon ran up to me in the woods recently and like covered me with mud, and it was just the most wonderful moment, and the owner was so apologetic and profusely like apologizing, and I was like, I love it, don't worry, this is like the best thing. It was just so magical. And so I'm going off topic here, but I think it's just the moments when you feel that magic and that connection. And as I said, like, it is all the time, but sometimes because life is so busy, you have to have that mindfulness, and you have to sort of drop back into your body and be in that moment, that stillness, or that motion, that whirlwind. It's like being still to see the moment, even if it's a whirlwind around you almost. I don't even know if I'm making any sense. But to me, it's like the magic, that when you feel it, and the butterflies that come up, and when you get the synchronicities, like a certain card comes out that came out the day before, you keep getting the same card, or several cards fall out and you put them back because you don't think they mean anything, and then the same cards come out when you shuffle again. You know, it's like that connection is there when you feel or hear a response from the deity you work with, and that power, that magic. Then when you see the results of your magic in the world, like manifesting in front of your eyes, or when you play something out in your mind and then it happens in real life and you're like, I made this happen. You know, like that's so magical. And yeah, that's my favorite. It's the magic. I think I just say the magic is the best part. It's the best. What's your least favorite part of your practice? I think it might be the overwhelm that I feel when it's wanting to deepen into one practice, but then also read about another practice, and then something else and something else, and sometimes feeling like I'm just too eclectic, and like if I'm going to become good at anything I have to just focus down on one thing, and that can be distressing. I think it sounds like it's not a big problem, but I think sometimes that overwhelm can feel noisy, and then it's hard to focus down because you're sort of beating yourself up for the other stuff. But I think pretty much everything I do I love. So I think some people said like tidying up. If you just finished like a ritual or like some long meditation and you've got like a whole setup and you've got to like tidy it up, or yeah, sometimes that can be exhausting, but it's worth it. How do you feel your practice has grown over time? I think I've definitely become more able to be okay with my practice and defer to me first, whereas like it's taken a long time to get to that point. Some of you may not know, but I started my practice when I was 11, and it was in the 90s, and so I was very young and impressionable. I was really young and impressionable when I was 18, so when I was 11, gosh, like, oh my goodness. And I remember just going into witchy shops that were local to me and feeling like I wasn't welcome and being looked at like I was just an imposter, and like, you know, I was so young, but it's like I didn't want to go to any of the other shops. I felt kind of out of place in the other shops. I wanted to be in these shops where there were candles and incense and books and statues and pentacles and essential oils and tarot cards and oracle cards. Like, it's where I wanted to be, and I would just pore over the books really. And I remember seeing Scott Cunningham's books, and I remember seeing Witch's Bible, and these are books that I did, you know, read at the time. I never actually finished the Witch's Bible when I was a teen because it was so intense. I finished it more recently, decided to sort of, you know, cycle back and reread some things. The first books that I picked up and read were by Fiona Horn, and I loved them. I loved her, and it felt so magical, but at the same time I felt so impressionable, and I was just like, I'm so worried I'm doing all of this wrong. And you know, it was so different then than how it is now. And I know now there's so much noise, and TikTok, there's so much misinformation, but it's also fabulous because there is so much information. There's so many places that you can get free information, not talking about finding books that have been illegally uploaded, but there are so many essays and papers and PDFs that are available to the public to read that you can build your awareness around. And then there's YouTube, and of course again you do have to take everything with a pinch of salt and watch around, watch lots of different people and read and listen to different podcasts, but there's so much information, and there just wasn't that when I was growing up. And I practiced throughout my teens, and in my 20s like took some time away from my practice, and it was really because I was sort of shaken and scared because of my connection to a Baptist church, and so I didn't think that I could have both. And it's taken a lot of time to be able to be okay with my practice and my spiritual beliefs and stand in my spiritual truth and authenticity, and that's really, really valuable to me. And also embodiment, sexuality, being my sexual self. You know, I felt like I've always had to apologize for being who I am and being the way I am, and I don't feel like that anymore. I don't feel guilty for being a sexual person and for knowing that sex is like divinely given, and like I'm a sexual person and I'm embraced by the divine. I do feel that in that way my practice has really changed and helped to evolve me, but it's through shadow work and such. But I think Rochelle from Amethyst Ascension said that, yeah, she's been doing shadow work for years before, but this, like, literally, I was doing shadow work in my teens before I knew what shadow work was. But I did study Carl Jung at university, and, you know, I used to look into my fears and insecurities and the things that I'd hidden away a lot. Like I'd always journal about it and do path working and exploration and try and understand these parts of myself that I'd lock away. And so it's been a massive part of my practice to do that. And so I think it is testament really to my practice that I've become stronger in those areas and stronger as a person, stronger in my authenticity and my ability to sort of step up and say, yeah, this is me, and if you don't like it, you know, that's cool, bye. So yeah, my practice has really been so powerful for me in my life, and there's no way I would ever give up. Is there a show or movie that inspires you? There have been lots of shows and movies that have inspired me. I wouldn't say any more. I think I saw Practical Magic, then I saw The Craft. So those were like my first sort of introduction into that world. But then when I think about it, I was obviously watching Disney and lots of magical films when I was younger, and I always used to make potions and perform enchantments and cast magical spells. I'd write incantations, I wrote songs, I wrote poetry. I was performing incantations all of my childhood, really. So I think that they inspired me because it opened up a door that actually this was a real thing, even though that those things weren't exactly realistic. I really would like to watch a discovery of witches from the start, but only series 3 I think is available right now, and I've never seen the first season. The Love Witch is an interesting commentary with some interesting actual practices put throughout, but again, I do have problems with it. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that it inspires me. It makes some really interesting kind of commentary about patriarchy. There are some aspects of the film that are deeply troubling for me that I don't love, but I absolutely love the aesthetic. Gorgeous. I've always loved Harry Potter. I feel very sad about obviously now the connection between the books and the author, and I loved the books when I was growing up and they were so magical, and the movies, yeah, magical. Sabrina the Teenage Witch, like the original Sabrina the Teenage Witch, just absolutely amazing. Oh yeah, I love Salem. And then The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina as well. Like I do like that, even though there's so much that isn't correct. I think it's so fun, and yeah, just beautiful and really well done. Do you have a familiar? No, not exactly. No, I don't have any familiar spirits. I think when I was a child I may have done, but my memories are so poor around it that it's almost like you're trying to grasp onto it. It was like a presence, a spirit that was with me. I don't really have many memories other than feeling protected or feeling like I was getting warnings, a general knowing that there was a certain period of time where I felt very protected or like warned about certain things. Like I would just get inklings and I would just know certain things, like what the weather was going to do, or you know what time something would happen, and when I was quite young, and it was all very strange. But that I think stopped before adolescence. I don't believe that there are any spirits in my home, and I don't believe that I have had any spirits come to me to work with me, and I haven't particularly gone out to seek any. I have worked with animal spirits before, and I do work with the crow spirit as a messenger, augury, divination. It's not one spirit, it's the crow spirit energy that I work with because of the Morrigan as well, and working with the Morrigan. I do have a cat, and I have always had cats. Sometimes I affectionately refer to her as my familiar, but she's not, obviously, because she's just a house cat. There's no way she would be a familiar anyway. She's like a little princess, like a fluffy, fabulous princess. So no, she's not a familiar. Very sweet though. And then I do connect with some beloved dead family members who have passed away. I connect with them sometimes, so spirits. And just connecting with like tree spirits and plant spirits in my local area, I do that. But yeah, I do not have a familiar in that sort of way. Would you recommend any YouTube channels? Yes, like there are so many YouTube channels I would recommend. Basically everyone who's done this tag, I would recommend. I really enjoy watching Ariel Gatoga. I love Danu's Irish Herb Garden. The Witch's Box as well. Elena does the most amazing meditations on a Friday, and they are so perfect. I love those. I like watching Laura O'Brien and John O'Sullivan at the Irish Pagan School, Benabel Wen, Kellyanne Maddox, Thorn Mooney, Scarlett Ravenswood, Joey Morris, Foolish Fish, I really enjoy, Diary of a Ditch Witch, Morgan Daimler, Heather's Astrology, Molly McCord, Crystal Aranyani, Achita Bavadas. I just recently discovered Scottish Cunning Ways, White Raven and Witch's Lair, Laura Tempest Zakrov, Hazel Jane Tarot, Lisa Pappas. I like watching The Midwest Witch as well, She is of the Woods, Jessie Huntenberg, Mia Magick, Lavender Hazelwood, which is Bronnie K, The Witch of Whitetail Hollow, Jen's Balanced Tarot, of course, Mary Grace Faroon, The Earth Witch, Hannah's Elsewhere, Cat Rose Astrology, Hoodoo Delish, The Wild Woodland Witch, Damien Eccles, Rachel Patterson, Whiskey Stevens, Molly Roberts, Jonah Jinton, Bewitching Dot Bemused, Dark Darling, Ancestral Medicine, Conjured Cardia, and basically everyone who's done this tag, so Jasmine Ambrosia, Alvine Green, Lennon Smith, Fierce and Pretty, all of the people who've done this tag, like I love their channels. Jack Chanik, Mama Squirrel's Witchy Wisdom, like I love Mama Squirrel, she's one of my favourites actually. House of Witchcraft, there are so many people who I love, The Cackling Moon, so many channels that I loved. Like how long did that take me? I just went off on one for that. That just took me so long. But yeah, if I haven't mentioned anyone, there are loads and loads of people I watch and love, so if you know I watch you, if I comment, like I love your channel, and probably there are loads of people I watch who I don't comment on as well, but if I watch the channel, I love it, so yeah. Name something you must do daily for your mental, emotional well-being or for your practice. Okay, so I take medication, so I take that daily, and if I don't remember to, my husband will tell me. So yeah, daily, got to do that. I'm starting there because I feel like a lot of my responses are very witchy, very magical, and that's who I am. But I want to make it very clear that like I take medication for my mental health, and I don't think in any way that that takes anything away from my magical path, my ability to be magical, or my witchy self. It's empowering. Hot chocolate at the moment. My hot chocolate, I have it with reishi, cacao, oat milk, and maple syrup, and it is my favorite thing. It's raw organic cacao, organic reishi powder. I also have ashwagandha. I don't really have that daily. Coffee in the morning, stirring my intentions in, you know. Yeah, the hot chocolate, reiki, and meditation. So I know this sounds like a lot, so I can't always do it in the day. So if I don't have a chance to meditate and do reiki in the day, I do it right before I go to sleep. So I connect to my guides, guardians, angels, spirits, ancestors, and I will channel reiki energy. I have a singing bowl that I like to use. I light candles and I use incense. So I don't always do all of those things, but I need to do a couple of those things each day for my sanity. I like to read as well in the evening before I go to bed. I like to journal my dreams when I wake up in the morning. Occasionally that doesn't happen if I wake up and I've got children all over me, or my husband has children all over him and they're having tantrums and stuff. Sometimes I can't write in my dream journal, but I do think it's really important, so I try to every day. Really, I would say the only thing that is really necessary for me to do is to do some breath work every day. So whether that is just breathing on my own using a mala, whether I put on some meditation music, a guided meditation on YouTube, or whether I use the sacral chakra hertz music, 528 or 342 hertz vibrational music. I do that. I do whatever I feel into, whatever I need, but I do need some kind of spiritual practice each day. It tends to be breath work, but I also like to light a candle every day. I also like to have incense. So they're very basic things, and I always do my protections as well. So before I leave the house, I will put up energetic shields and wards and protective layers. My jewelry is also enchanted for protection. I also use oils in my hair after I've washed my hair, and I use those oils on my body as well. That's part of my protection routine and my self-love, self-care routine. So there's quite a few things there actually. But when it comes to the singing bowl or the meditation or the reiki, it's not always all of those things. Do you know what I mean? So it's sometimes a selection of those things. Sometimes it's all of those things in one day, like if it's a weekend, it's a good day. Sometimes, you know, for a full moon or a new moon, I'll do a ritual. Sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll put moon water outside or charge items. I'll moon gaze and do things like that. I'll do divination on various days. Sometimes I do a daily reading, but not every day. So it varies. I feel into what I need. But yeah, definitely medication, definitely some breath work. It's what I need for my mental health, really. I'm gonna say that the most basic, most important is the medication and breath work. Those two things. And then the other stuff kind of slots in and around. Yeah. What is something that started as an obstacle, but you now see it as a blessing? Oh. Okay, yeah, so maybe my obstacle is the aspects I talked about earlier that have helped me to grow in my practice. So, you know, overcoming those sort of fears and anxieties of teen years, you know, the obstacles in my path that kind of interrupted my path, you know, halfway through when I've been practicing for years, you know, interrupted me, threw me off course, those obstacles which I can see them as blessings. I do kind of regret sometimes being thrown off course and missing out on things, or maybe, you know, coming to the craft when I was that young and not having what there is available now. But I also see that as a blessing because I actually did have a lot of time with just me, because there was no TikTok, there was no, I mean, even the internet, there was just a PC in my house. I didn't have a phone, I didn't have a laptop. In my room I had a big box that was my telly, and I had some movies like Harry Potter. I would put those on maybe like when I was chilling out before I went to bed. Other than that, I'd be reading, I would perform rituals, I, you know, would lay out my cloths on the floor. I had a little antique cupboard that had all of my items in a little cloth, and incense and some crystals and some candles and things, and I'd bring them all out and put them on my carpet, and I'd do my ritual like that. I'd sort of construct a temporary altar like that, and I would bake moon cakes, like moon cake for the Sabbats and the Sabbats, and I would go to witchy shops and buy incense and crystals and tarot deck when I was 17, and, you know, books on tarot, books on witchcraft, and read and just delve myself into it. And I journal about a lot, and I didn't ever have like a proper book of shadows, but what I did was I always had diaries, I always had journals that were inspired really from a very young age by Anne Frank. The idea that she kept a diary, and it was that such an epic story, it inspired me so much that, you know, I had to start a journal from quite a young age. And I remember I had this like lovely little diary when I was really little. It had like a padlock and a key.
Dear diary.
Thank you. My husband just brought me some tea, my little cauldron mug. I had a little diary that had a little padlock on it when I was really little, and so I would write about my day, and I'd write about all the kinds of things that little girls write about in their diaries, I guess. So then when I started practicing, I would just record my experiences in my diaries. So that's where all of the magical stuff went, because it was all just fun. Yeah, so maybe that's my obstacle, overcoming those bumps in the road and overcoming the not having all of the info at once and not being able to know all at once, you know. Which do you prefer, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok? Definitely YouTube, it's my favourite. I enjoy it so much. There's so much information, so much experience from people that you can glean, you know, free meditations and breathwork practices. It's just a wealth of knowledge and information. I enjoy Instagram as well because it's very inspiring, very beautiful. But yeah, I really do prefer YouTube over the others. And I have TikTok, but I don't tend to use it that much, and I don't really like it that much. What do you feel is missing from our witchy community? I think maybe feeling like we're actually really connected in real life, because I think other people spoke to this as well, like that it feels like the witchy and tarot community on YouTube, for instance, and on Instagram, they overlap, and it's really beautiful. And I love chatting to people and getting to know people, and, you know, being in live groups and stuff. It's so lovely. I think though it does feel like it's harder to find those connections in real life. I live in Devon, in quite a witchy area, to be honest with you. I'm about 40 minutes away from Glastonbury, but I don't get to go to Glastonbury all that often because my children go to school and I work from home, and my husband works locally, and, you know, so the weekends are for cleaning and taking the kids out and being busy doing other things. And with just a full practice, I usually get to go to Glastonbury maybe once a year, twice a year if I'm lucky. So I don't really hang out there, and I don't really get a chance to connect with people there, and there aren't that many opportunities to connect with people around here either. So I think it's having opportunities to connect with people in real life. I also think that sometimes it's quite difficult because there are always these messages about you're not supposed to share anything online being a witch, but then lots of people want to see real witches working, and me too. I love witchy vlogs like Alvine makes, you know, those beautiful vlogs where you see someone's space and they might talk about something that they worked on before. And I get the to be silent thing. I feel like that, and I wouldn't ever want to share a working that wasn't complete or hadn't like fully manifested. But at the same time, like, I like sharing aspects of my practice too, but then some of it really is sacred and I don't want to share it all. And so it's finding that balance, and I find it quite hard sometimes because there's opinions one way and opinions that are this way. I sort of agree with both in a way, but then you can't. So it's, yeah, it's just finding the right space for you really to occupy in, and then respecting other people's choices. So sometimes I think it is a little bit difficult to navigate because there's the opposing views that both make sense, but it's just finding what's right for you and that balance in that moment of what's right for you. Because for some people they won't want to share anything, and other people they'll want to share everything. And I do like to share, but I definitely make sure that I don't share what I know I can't share, or that's not ready to be shared, or that I will never share. So there is a balance there, and I think it's about finding like what is right for you and respecting what other people decide in their practice too, without sort of being too prescriptive. And yeah, like not worrying too much about what other people think as well, because it's your practice. So, but that's not really what's missing in the community. It's just thought tangents, you know. I mean, if you've watched my channel before, you know I just kind of go off. How much space do you use for supplies and spell work? My whole house. Like, this is my bedroom, and the place is decked out with 3 altar spaces, tarot decks, artwork, crystals, candles, herbs, books, oils, shells, stones, sticks, roots. Yeah, deity, statues, incense. And then I have a spare room. It's got drawers full of supplies, shelves of books, tarot deck, cabinet. My children's rooms have little things that are theirs. They place where they want. And downstairs in the living room I have a little kind of spiritual space. It's got an incense stick, it's got Buddha, some candles, and a crystal, and it's just a very like relaxing kind of spiritual place that I don't tend to use it for much other than relaxation, rituals in that way. In my kitchen space I have a bookcase with cookbooks and things, and I have quite a lot of like foliage and some wreaths and some charms up there that are protective and bring joy to the home, the hearth. And then I sort of have a little bit of a beauty bathroom space as well that's kind of just for self-love. Yeah, but everywhere really. It's my own home. I have quite a lot of witchy supplies and decor that I like to have around me, so I kind of dot it around. And I will say that the items that are in the spare room aren't really unpacked properly yet. The ancestor altar still isn't how I want it. It's just set out that way because I just sort of put everything out at once, and I really need to refresh the space. I think it's getting to that point. Everywhere basically. How many altars do you have in your home? Yeah, I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, roughly 7, but then there are other areas as well. I mean, some of them are sort of more like spiritual spaces for the family, and some of them are altar spaces that are temporary for me, and other places are for designated things, and they move around, they change, they're very functional. And some of them, yeah, more decorative. 7+, but not all of them are specific. I'd say in terms of actual working rituals, probably 3. One of them is one that I sort of set up for meditation and yoga, breathwork. And there's different things on it depending on what I'm doing. Then one over here, which is workings that I do in this room. And then one in the spare room that I use for bigger workings and decorative things as well. So yeah, it just depends on what I'm doing, where I am, where I want to be, how I feel, what items I want, and I move things around as and when. What is your favourite Sabbat? Samhain. I've always loved Halloween and Samhain. Yule because I love Christmas. I really enjoy Imbolc. I love Beltane. And the summer solstice. So yeah, I have a lot of favourites. Do you prefer tarot, runes, oracle deck, or pendulum? Definitely tarot and oracle. I like OM as well, but I'm newer to that. And I like scrying. That's not really mentioned here, but I really do like scrying into water with candlelight, or have an obsidian sphere. I also have a quartz sphere, but it's got a lot of inclusions and quite cloudy, so it's more challenging to scry with that, but I do scry with that sometimes as well, so I like those the best. Are you out of the broom closet? Yes and no. So in my life, yeah, pretty much. I work in a spiritual business, so on my Facebook people can see what I do. I'd say probably some people aren't really sure what that is, but yeah, I'm fairly woo, I'd say, to non-magical people. Some people probably say I'm quite weird. I think there are some mums on the school run who probably think I'm a bit weird and don't really care, to be honest. I think, yeah, mostly people know. Obviously my family, my friends, they know. They don't know the ins and outs of my practice particularly. I have a few friends who are witchy inclined, some that I've met online, and some that I have met through circles, and some that I met through other ways that are just very spiritual and witchy as well, and we share thoughts and experiences and things together. But yeah, I really would love to have like a witchy circle that feels sort of closer, like I was referring to earlier, like what the community needs. Like I want more of an in real life community. Working on building something like that would be really nice. Who are you going to tag in this video? Everyone, anyone. If you haven't done this tag, please do the tag. And I think as well, like, even if you don't identify as a witch, I still think that this tag can be done by anyone who's sort of spiritual inclined, or anyone who kind of utilizes psycho-spiritual tools like the tarot. I think you could do this tag. So I would be interested to hear anyone's responses who I haven't already heard. So yeah, I tag you if you haven't been tagged. It's been really, really fun. Thank you so much to Ravenflower. It's a great tag, and I really enjoyed watching everybody's responses. If you enjoyed hearing my responses, then please do click the like button, share with anyone who you know enjoys this kind of content and wants to see more of these videos. Also, if you're not yet subscribed, do subscribe to my channel and click the little bell notification to receive updates as and when I post videos just like this. Also, if you'd like to see more from me, I'm on Instagram and on TikTok, and I have a Buy Me a Coffee page as well if you'd like to go over and just make a little donation to support me here, to buy me a coffee, to show your appreciation. That's really, really kind and thoughtful. I'm really, really grateful for the likes and the subs and the comments. So if you stayed all the way to the end, thank you so much. Leave a little crystal ball emoji for me in the comments box. I'd love to see that. Hope you're taking care of yourselves. Stay well and safe, and many blessings. Mwah. Bye.